You're listening to a podcast from the BBC World Service. This is Hardtalk with me, Stephen Sacker. Thanks for downloading this edition of the programme. I do hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Hardtalk on the BBC World Service with me, Stephen Sacker. Today I'm in the Norwegian capital Oslo to meet one of the recipients of this year's Nobel Peace Prize. The award went to the Tunisian civil society movement known as the National Dialogue Quartet. And my guest is OuidedBouchamaoui, head of the Tunisian Trade and Industry Federation and a powerful player in the months of delicate political negotiations which saved Tunisia from political chaos a couple of years ago. As Tunisians desperately tried to avoid the civil strife seen in other parts of the Middle East, a band of different civil society groups worked together. The trade unions, the employers, the lawyers, and the human rights activists. Together, they persuaded the politicians, secular and Islamist alike, to focus on common goals rather than on their differences. The Nobel Committee hopes this award will encourage other countries in the region to pursue a similar model. But how realistic is that? Well, OuidedBouchamaoui joins me now. Welcome to Hardtalk and many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I've got to start by asking you, how much of a surprise was it when you heard that your movement had won the Nobel Peace Prize?
We were, all of us, the quartet, we are very proud because we did something which is an exception, a Tunisian exception. It's something which is very exciting for us to have this news, because Tunisia, as a small country, a known country, will be a famous country.
Do you see it as recognition
Yes.
of the importance of Tunisia?
Of course, yes. It's an international recognition because it's something which is just done by Tunisia. We began the revolution, safety and soft revolution, and we succeed on this democratic transition. So it's quite different. For us, we are proud to be Tunisian. We are proud to succeed on this.
And let's go back to the story of this National Dialogue Quartet,
Yes.
because it really came about in the summer of 2013,
Yes.
when Tunisia was facing a period of real political crisis.
Yes.
You had a government which was dominated by the Ennahda
Nahda.
Islamist
Yes.
party. There were protests on the streets, there was a lot of unrest, there'd been political assassinations. Did you feel at that time that Tunisia was getting very close to civil strife, maybe even civil war?
If I'd like to be frankly speaking with you, yes. Yes, because it was confusion. People were shocked. We are not used with terrorism. We are not used with assassination in Tunisia. We are, open country, and we are tolerant people. So when the second assassinate happened in Tunisia, everybody was in the street. And we just reached the disaster in Tunisia. For this reason, we met together to avoid this, and to avoid this disaster, this civil war in Tunisia.
And when you say we met together and we decided to do something about it, we're talking about you representing the business, the industrial federation, we're talking about the trades union movement, we're talking about the lawyers,
yes.
and the human rights
Yes,
activists.
yes.
Now there are many different interests there. So how did you all come together in one movement?
First, we began with the union. It was in 2012 when we got a lot of strikes, a lot of sit-in Tunisia. We said that we have to be together, to dialogue together. And after the second assassinate, we said we have to find solution. We met together. We are fourth of the oldest civil organization in Tunisia. People, they trust on us.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that
So the union,
Hussein Abbasi, the
Yes.
head of the Trades Union Federation,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you, the head
Yes.
of the Bosses Federation, were traditional enemies in a way. You would be negotiating about wages, about conditions, and often you were fighting each other. But because
we are
of
not
the
enemies. We are partners. Each one of us defends.
Well, you say that now, but you weren't always partners. You've had many disputes with the trades unions in your time.
In my time, no, never. we are together because I got this idea to call Mr. Abbasi and invited him and with his board member to come to our head office, and it was something which is strange for everybody, but we began and we resolved a lot of many problems. But now if there is different between us, it's just, I mean, each one has to defend its member. That's it. But you know, we cannot have companies without workers, and we cannot have companies workers without, I mean, bosses. So if we need to export, if we need to invest, if we need to create jobs, we need both of them. So we have to be together. I mean, our future, we're together. But of course, we are, I mean, let's say we are not enemy, but we cannot agree on all fields. But we have to, I think it's our...
You have to trust each other.
Yes, that's it.
And you found a way to trust.
When we trust on people, yes, we can do it, yeah.
But you see, what fascinates me is that because you came together, the workers, the employers, the lawyers and the human rights people, you all came together,
yes,
and you decided to intervene in politics. I mean, there was a government which had a mandate, that was the Nahda government.
Yes, Troika.
Yeah, but you went to the Nahda leadership, including Prime Minister Ouided,
yes,
and you said to him, Mr. Prime Minister, you're going to have to resign. You're going to have to allow an interim government to take over and negotiate with us on a transition to a new politics with a new constitution.
But we were not alone, because when we fixed our roadmap, we got the political parties with us. They signed this roadmap, and together we decided, I mean, to find, I mean, the right way for Tunisia. We listened to the opposition. We listened to people that they have the power, and what we did is the consensus with them, because we, civil society organization, we don't have the legitimacy to say to, I mean, the Prime Minister to resign or to I mean, to be
well,
out.
Exactly. That's my point in a way.
Yes.
It was an extraordinary thing, because for all of your influence in
yes,
Tunisia, because you represent the businesses and
yes,
the employers,
yes,
and
yes,
the same with the trades unions,
yes,
and the lawyers, you didn't have a democratic mandate,
No,
but you felt that you had a duty to intervene.
We have the mandate of Tunisian people because they trust on us, and we are a very old organization, and we did a lot for our country. But we got the support of parties, and we got the support of media, we got the support of civil society, the other civil society organization, and the support of Tunisian women, really. And together, I mean, they pushed us.
But wasn't there a parallel with Egypt? Because at the very same time you were making your intervention,
They helped us.
They had chaos in Egypt, and the army eventually intervened in what many people called a coup d'etat, to take power away from the Muslim Brotherhood. And I wonder whether you believe that there can ever be a marriage between political Islam and genuine democracy and freedom. Do you think the two can go together?
For me, I mean, we have to separate between them, because, you know, Islam, it's a tolerant religion. What we see now, even the terrorism everywhere, the extremism everywhere, is not Islam. We avoid all this. We are against all this, I mean, extremism. Because.
But the question is, what do you call extremism? Do you call any party that calls for Sharia law, for example, to be the law of the state? Do you call that extremism? You know,
no, extremism is others, but for us, Tunisia, we are safety because our constitution is too clear. There is a separation, and we cannot, apply the Sharia in Tunisia. We respect Islam, we are Muslim, but for us, it's, let's say, the religion of Tunisia is Islam, but we are as democratic and civil society.
Because I think during the negotiations over the constitution, Nahda, for example, they wanted to make it quite clear that Islam was the driving force for Tunisian law. And you said no.
People refuse it.
Yes.
Tunisia refused it.
So what does this tell us? looking at the region, not just at Tunisia, about the role of Islam in any democracy in the Middle East. Are you saying to me that you don't believe that the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, can ever be a genuinely democratic movement?
I don't think so, because you know why? Because if we are not open-minded, if we don't listen to each other, if we'd like to force people to practice something what we don't like, what we cannot assume, so it will be difficult. For me, let's say Islam, it's very, I'm proud to be Muslim, but we have good things, we can take the good things from the Islam, but for now, we are in this century. We are more open, and so we have to be more, more democratic, and the other way, because those they use, let's say the wrong way of the Islam, not the good Islam.
It's so interesting because you've just, in your National Dialogue Quartet, received this enormous recognition with the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
And one of your members, you know, the leader of the Lawyers Association, Mohammed Mahfoud, he said, after winning the prize, he said, the lesson here is that everything can be solved by dialogue.
Yes.
But it seems to me not everything can be solved by dialogue, because even in Tunisia, you still have deep polarization. You have Islamists, some would say you have extremists and jihadists, who your form of dialogue will never reach. You can't reach out to them.
But it's not a big, they are not so much, those people, they were extremists. The majority of Tunisia are not like this. And when we succeed with dialogue, in social dialogue, political dialogue, and we'll also continue to dialogue to find solution for the extremism and for the terrorism. So I agree with Mr. Mahfoud for this.
Well, then the question is, if dialogue doesn't work with the real extremists, and we have seen in Tunisia in the last few months, in the last year, we've seen terrible terror attacks. You know, the Bardo Museum, we've seen the gunman on the beach at Sousse. We've seen in the last couple of weeks the suicide bombing of the Presidential Guard. How do you believe that Tunisia can control and defeat the jihadists inside your country?
First, what you said is it doesn't happen just in Tunisia. We saw attacks in Paris, in the United States, in Mali, in everywhere. So it's an international affair, this terrorism. We have to, all of us, everywhere, we have to find solution for this. Second, Tunisia, we are not responsible for this. We are suffering from this terrorism, but we are not responsible, because what is happening now in Libya, the situation in Libya it's a disaster for us, and the international community should do something for this. But for us, even what is when we got the 2 assassinations, even the last attacks, the attacks in the Bardo or in Sousse at the hotel, for us, we'll continue to survive, because we are thinking that we can do, and we'll continue to fight this, and we continue to do this. But
I hear what you say about this being a product of regional instability, but the fact is Tunisia has a big problem. It is said that 4,000 Tunisian fighters are now with Daesh, so-called Islamic State, in Syria. Another 1,500 Tunisian jihadists are in Libya. Tunisia does have its own extremist problem. And I wonder whether you would accept that that's partly because there is deep economic inequality in Tunisia.
Of course, yes.
There are many. I have been to Tunisia. I've been to the town of Sidi Bouzid, where the uprising in 2011 began, and I have talked to young people who say there is no chance of a job here.
Yes.
The Tunisian elite does not listen to us.
Yes.
And you're a member of the Tunisian elite.
Yes, you're right. Because you know, Tunisia, when they shouted together in one voice, they said, we want dignity, we want jobs, and we want freedom. We have freedom in Tunisia, but we cannot get the dignity without jobs. Until now, they are waiting. You know, we are. When I say we are not responsible, because those people, they are training in Libya and other places.
Maybe they're training elsewhere, but where does their anger come from?
Because they are waiting for a hope. They are waiting for a chance to get job, and they are still waiting. We didn't do for them, and we didn't realize their dream is how to get jobs. You know why? Because first of all, we have big problems, economic problems in Tunisia. I mean, we have 54% of our economy is coming from the informal economy, because there is no state in Libya, no institution in Libya, and so goods, arms, and everything can enter in Tunisia in the right and the wrong way. And of course, when we don't have, big capacity, financial capacity, we cannot do by ourselves. For this, I said we need the support of international community to help us to assume for the security, and now for foreign investment, and now But
with respect, you do have support from the IMF. You have support on security issues from the Europeans.
Not so much.
But surely, in the end,
not concrete actions.
Really?
No, not so much, because we are not responsible for what is happening now in Libya.
But you see, some people would say all of your answers avoid one key issue, and that is that, you yourself, from an elite family whose family run big businesses in Tunisia, you have to accept that there is endemic corruption inside your country. The economic elite is accused by the World Bank, amongst others, of crony capitalism. Quote, "The regulatory system that allowed Ben Ali's corruption remains largely in place. It perpetuates social exclusion. It generates deep social injustice." Well, the revolution was in 2011. Why is that World Bank report being written in 2014?
Because we are still in transition period in Tunisia. We are still in transition. We got our democratic transition, but till now we don't have the economic transition. We are now waiting to do some reforms, to invest more, to have security, and even the corruption, I think, if we'll succeed on this, and we are on the way,
with respect, it's as bad today as it was under Ben Ali. Transparency International actually has Tunisia dropping down the index of countries that are perceived to be corrupt. Why is that?
Because, as I said, we are in transition period, and now we are building together all the institutions, and we'll have, when we have freedom, we'll have better governance, we have better transparency, and we have freedom media, so we'll find solution. But we cannot find solution now for all our past problems.
But it is urgent. It's very urgent, isn't it? Because these young people, certainly in the rural areas, the country areas, the poorest of the poor, they are still very angry.
Not but because there is corruption. They are still angry because they don't find jobs.
Well, they're angry about both things, surely.
No,
they're pretty angry when they see the elite doing so well in Tunis, and their own villages are still stuck in poverty.
Yes, it's our fault, all of us, because they are still waiting, and even for our government, our state, now they are focused. The government focused all its efforts to the security problems, and we don't invest more in those areas, and it's a big problem. For this, we say that we need to get an economic dialogue together, to have to push reforms, to have a social climate in Tunisia, and to have an investment climate, a fair investment climate in Tunisia. We need to do sacrifice all of that.
Talking of the investment climate, how damaging would you say the attacks on the beach in Sousse and the Bardo Museum, how damaging have they been on Tunisia's ability to attract foreign investment and foreign tourists?
It has a really big effects, just for tourism, because tourism, it's...
I think it was 10% of your GDP.
7%. Tourism is, very important for us. We have 300 days, sunny days per year, and we are near most of European cities, and now we are suffering. Some areas are suffering, and not tourism, hotels also, but even all other areas, handicrafts and other areas, and now really we have a big problem. But what we can say, to all people. I mean, terrorism is everywhere. Problems are everywhere. So you have to trust on us. We are doing our best to find solution.
Let me ask you about Tunisia's role in the region. You were the birthplace of the uprisings, in a sense, in 2011. Do you believe that this recognition with the Nobel Peace Prize carries with it some sort of message for neighboring states in the Middle East, in the Arab region? Do you think there are things that can be learned from your civil society experiment in Tunisia?
I don't know. I can't say we'll give lessons to others or we'll teach others, but it will be, I think, a good experience, and we can learn from this experience because we succeed because we listen to each other.
One lesson involves gender politics as well. I mean, here you sit with me. You're the head of Tunisia's Business and Industrial Federation.
Yeah.
I have heard that you were even asked if you would like to be Prime Minister at one point. Is that true?
Twice.
Twice?
Yes. Once,
what did you say when they asked you?
Once when we were in a dialogue, because I remember it very well, because it was confusion and we didn't find solution and we didn't find the candidate. So most of them, they asked me to be Prime Minister. I said no, as I'm a part of the quartet, I cannot accept. The second, when we elected our president, and he called me and he said I was elected by 1 million of Tunisian women. So I suggest that you will be the Prime Minister.
You could speak for all Tunisian women, and actually it would have been a heck of an opportunity. Why didn't you say yes?
First, because I said to him that I cannot be the boss because I have to choose the ministers between 4 parties. Second, I have the confidence of my colleagues. So to be in this organization to defend the interests of the companies, the sector, private sector, and I think it's too early for me to do politics now.
I mean, to put it bluntly, do you think Tunisia, and maybe this is a question for the wider Arab world as well, do you think that your country is ready to be led by a woman and to be really accepting of gender equality at all levels?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. We represent the half of the population, so we have all the rights and all the duties. And people, they accept women. As you know, in Tunisia, you got the first doctor in the Arab world is from Tunisia. The first pilot is from Tunisia. The first judge is from Tunisia. So the first president of Confederation, for industry in the Arab world is Tunisian or so. So we are always the first ones, so we'll accept it. Really?
Well, and we're going to have to end there, but I'm delighted to say you're also going to have to accept the Nobel Peace Prize. So congratulations one more time, OuidedBouchamaoui, and thank you very much for being on Hard Talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an edition of Hard Talk presented by me, Stephen Sacker. For details of our complete range of podcasts and our terms of use, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.